Aloha, my name is Adam Prawl and this is my design, art, and coding company. My mission is to provide excellent digital design services to as many people as possible. I believe in elevating the industry. When you share concepts and experience, it improves everyone's job. Kindness comes before fights, rights over fights as I call it. Education comes first. When you share the work, its burden is lightened. And I also believe in not wasting data for the most part, unless a file contains very highly proprietary information. The file can be yours in the final product. I am the sole proprietor. I don't own a suit. I've worked on various teams and various companies, from small to large corporations and small businesses. I've been a sole proprietor since 1995, and I have hundreds of references I can provide on request. My history is that I've been a computer programmer since age 6, 1980. I've been a commercial artist since 1995 and done various work for surf companies since that date and many other corporations after that date. 29 years as an employee, 25 years working on my own. I've won awards for publishing and my desktop graphics, mostly with books, and I designed one of the first database-driven websites on the internet running in HyperCard. My design services include various types of graphic and fine art design and art direction. I can provide 3D modeling and design, animation, coding. I can do programming, web design and web programming, and publishing and printing experience are part of my portfolio. Regarding my art design, I can provide fine art or graphic design. Here are a few examples of my previous business card with glossy and matte printing and paintings. Provide supervision of graphics as well as production myself. I can do graphics and digital using various tools like the Adobe Suite. Can also provide 3D printing of those designs or 2D printing. I've done live art, interactive art, projection mapping with LCD projectors on large buildings and large stage sets. I do a process that's kind of unique that involves doing things by hand, going to digital, and sometimes back to hand drawing for a second or even a third take on the hand-drawn effect in order to get the best and most convincing amount of detail. I believe in cultural sensitivity. I'm based in Hawaii, and cultural sensitivity and knowledge and background are very important here. Regarding 3D design, I have quite a bit of experience in 3D modeling and also in more exotic forms like photogrammetry, scanning, other forms of AI-assisted production of 3D models without having to do everything by hand. 3D typography, special effects, and special types of programming using both open source and commercial packages. Regarding my coding services, I have quite a bit of experience in multiple languages, working on iOS apps as well as Mac and Windows and embedded and Linux-based apps. I've worked on real-time and streaming types of applications that involve media streaming and things that require high availability and low failure rates. I've coded databases on all different types of platforms from modern to ancient. And I have 42 years of experience coding various languages, probably about 20 or 30 languages total. Regarding web design, I've designed both static and database-driven pages. I've made use of web APIs like WordPress or Amazon or Cloudflare, and I also have produced a few APIs. I specialize mostly in PHP and JavaScript, TypeScript, but I'm also capable of working with a lot of different platforms and frameworks like Drupal, etc. Regarding publishing, I've produced quite a few books. Here's Anahola Mystic Hawaiian Village, which is now on sale for $175 to $400 if you can find it. Also, Vegan Fusion World Cuisine, which was a cookbook that won the Martha Stewart Award in the late 90s, early 2000s. I've assisted with production of the covers, typography, preparation of the files, and I've worked with quite a few very difficult situations, such as custom fonts and symbols that required extra work on the behalf of the printer, on the part of the printer, and often overseas, like in China and so on. And these projects vary in anything from 1 or 2 pages or a brochure up to a 300-page or so book. Regarding my services, one of the most unique parts of the way I work is that I provide a handoff or offboarding, I guess you could call it, service, where when the job is finished and complete, I provide a lot of the files that were used to produce it, which most people don't do. I believe that education improves the product, and I prefer to tutor one-on-one. I've worked with companies such as Chaminade University or Kawaikini School on Kauai, where I had to lecture or present to several people at a time, but it's generally not my preference to do that. And when I produce files, a certain degree and a certain quantity of the files belong to you when I'm done with them. I believe this builds confidence and it allows people more independence in the future. Often clients are left utterly dependent on their provider and can never ever reproduce the quality of the product that the original provider gave them because they have to throw the files away and start over with it when a new provider comes along. And I think that that's wrong and counterproductive to corporate and small business. Pricing scale of my business depends on the complexity of the service. Programming and databases are extra complicated and require a lot more bug checking and a lot more back and forth, so there is an extra fee for that. On the other hand, I have a sliding scale and I'll provide services for nonprofits and non-governmental organizations, educational institutions that are much lower than normal. And if there's consultation or tutoring required, that can also be a different fee, a lower fee, because sometimes it requires a less impactful or less strenuous type of work. If it's just a simple tutoring presentation and not necessarily interactive, just consult me if you want more details on that. The competitors, there's literally thousands of them, but unlike the big providers of online design services like Pentagram or Meta Design or any of these large companies, I'm more like my local providers, like my buddy Jim Manico, who works for the government agency I used to work with, SANS, or Wasabi Design, which is another local company that used to operate on Kauai and is now inter-island in Hawaii, or the 101 Things in-house design team, which I led for many years before it was sold to Gannett Publishing. I'm more like the sole providers on Fiverr or the Adobe Provider List or Guru.com, which I operated under for many years. The security and privacy, I believe that the data should be protected at all times. Keeping the chain unbroken is very important when it comes to security. So I generally operate behind firewalls, VPNs, or even air-gapped, so that the machine that has the private information isn't even connected to any network of any sort. My sensitive data is either encrypted or it's not stored at all. For example, passwords, credit card numbers, social security numbers. I don't believe that those should be stored. I have a history of working with the government security agency called SANS Institute Sysadmin Network Security, which was George W. Bush's primary go-to for internet security and is still the de facto standard for internet security. when it comes to governmental work. And I keep my workstations and servers constantly updated with the latest and greatest in software patches and security patches, and I stay updated on those daily. If you'd like to contact me, you can visit my website at adamprahl.com. There's my phone number below. Country code is 1 for United States. Email address is me@adamprahl.com. And there's a short link to my YouTube channel, which has a few videos at adamprahl.com/YouTube. Mahalo for watching my presentation, and I hope this gives you some idea of what I do.